Sadnam. We are Jen and Ramtan from Heart Center Revolution.
Our intention with this podcast is to share the best of Kundalini Yoga and conscious living with you so you can live a more heart-centered life. Welcome to episode 25 of the Heart Centered Revolution podcast. In this episode, we go through exploration of the role of the physical body and discomfort that happens in our physical body during a Kundalini Yoga practice. So you won't want to miss out, because this episode really is going to share with you how you can get the most out of your practice and what's going on when you feel that tension or pulling or building up of pressure in your body as you're practicing. After the discussion part of the episode, I am going to lead you through a really cool type of practice that I actually just found out about. One of my favorite things about being blessed to be a Kundalini Yoga teacher is that I get to discover new ways of practicing. So there are thousands of meditations, thousands of mantras, thousands of kriyas, all documented in all these different books. I think we have 15 or 20 books that are just, breathing practices, meditations, kriyas, those kinds of things. And I came across this practice where you can actually pray to your breath, or you can ask your breath to bless you if you prefer that word. The concept being that your breath is your life force. It's the part of you that carries the force of creation, the force of life. And so it's this powerful part of you that you can ask to bless you with certain things. So we're going to do a breathing practice, but while we do that, we're going to, ask our breath for blessings. So I'm really excited to share that practice with you. So the recording for Ramtan's class actually picks up a few seconds after he started, but just to get you kind of caught up, he's talking about the effects of chanting and how it's good to tune into the sensations of your body when you're chanting or listening to music. And so we'll join him now.
It's good to go deeper. And as we tune into our bodies, we really become one at the level of vibrational level, deep vibration with what as we listen to the sound energy, what each mantra does for us. So when you meditate and you listen to any sound, any meditative music or mantra, or you chant certain mantra for yourself silently, or whispering or listening to something, to become aware of the subtle shifts within the body, those energetic shifts. And that's what we're doing here. We are connecting with the practice of Kundalini Yoga. We are connecting more at a subtle level and a deeper level of consciousness, because everything has its own consciousness. Our words, our awareness, the experience we're having from the environment has its own consciousness, and we as human beings, we develop this consciousness and we kind of expand the consciousness based on our experiences. So when we are at a level of consciousness that we are involved in, and we've conditioned to be at this level of consciousness, when you go to school, when you study a certain subject, you become part of that whole collective consciousness, right? In any industry you work in, any field, there's a certain knowledge, certain skills that are required for you to be in that field of your expertise. And as you become more experienced, you become more skilled, you develop certain wisdom and knowledge, and love and appreciation for those who are involved as well. That's a certain consciousness that you've created in that field. It's like how we are closer and as a community, right? That's why as a family we are more bonded, right? There's a certain connection at multi-level, genetically, culturally, just certain. But there's a certain consciousness associated with that too. Everything, that cultural understanding, bond, chemistry that we have, genetically, blood relationship, whatever. There's a certain consciousness behind it. And understanding that at that level helps you to relate easier to things that situations and other communities, other groups that are seemingly separated, different. Now, what makes me feel more comfortable, show more compassion and love someone who I see as similar? And we tend to tap into that level of consciousness easier. But if we are closed-minded, if you're closed off to that receptivity and not really operate from our heart center, that level of compassion and kindness that comes are all God qualities, really, that creative quality, then we're not allowing our consciousness to expand. We become closed-minded. And we literally become closed off. I mean, people show it physically, right? And some, depending on their sensitivity, develop certain illnesses, conditions, and so on and so forth. It happens within families, it happens within cultures and, belief systems. So that's what we're learning, to be okay with our expansion, our vulnerability to begin with. Because when we create a certain awareness within the body, first we become aware, for example, that there's contrast in everything. There's, action and reaction, opposite polarity. So when we try to transform ourselves, our physical body, mental, emotional body, and we learn that, for example, in this new practice, your body has to become adjusted to sitting a certain way, to holding a posture a certain way, a certain repetition of certain action, right? We have a lot of that in Kundalini Yoga, right? Your body doesn't react to it right away, or that's not the right way of saying it. Doesn't adjust to it, relate to it right away. There's actually a reaction. Now, what is that reaction? The reaction is pain, right? That discomfort. The reaction is for you to get out of that posture. Your body sends a signal to your brain, the brain sends a signal back. That communication is understood as discomfort, pain, aches, in your body. And then naturally, we take the path of least resistance. We don't sit in a way that, brings that discomfort, as we perceive it as a discomfort. But there are certain things that are occurring. There are certain energies moving in the right path. And it's opening the channels for itself to move. And that concentration, that focus of energy, the movement, intensifies. At that intensity, we perceive it as pain. But there are ways to deal with that, because consciously now we are focusing on opening that channel. So we bring our own the intention behind it, consciously saying we are doing this, not to allow the reaction of the body and the reaction of the conditional, subtle, my subconscious mind to bring that the hormonal changes and the chemical changes and the electrical changes to bring us that fight, flight, or fear, which is part of us, is not bad. None of this that we have as we have this, perception of bad or negative or wrong. It's just terminology. It's just names that we give it. Negative mind, positive mind. Fear is known to be a bad thing. It's not an evil thing. It's not a bad thing. It's part of our system. It's part of a protective system. We just named it fear, but these are what we feel, and we are a feeling beings. And that's what we are. What we feel becomes more tangible to us. What we're able to feel through our five senses. And we cannot disregard the five senses. We got to work with it. So when you fear, it is an emotion. But when you feel it more in your physical body through the reactions, through the senses, it becomes a feeling then. Emotion turns into a feeling. And it becomes very real. That process that is occurring for protection as we identify as fear, that process of creating that emotion, thought turning into emotion and feelings, the way we process this sometimes is not the same exact order. It's not always thought, emotion, feeling. Sometimes it's emotion, feeling, sometimes thought, feeling, and then emotion. So we have to get to know how do we process this information for ourselves and then utilize it towards whatever creation we want to create, because that's what we are. We are creative beings. We are here to expand, to create, and to create creation requires energy. Energy, we become aware of the energy when something moves. Static energy, is the source of it, but it's the kinetic energy that really we become aware of when something moves. All these lights, electricity, when you turn the switch on, allows the energy to move in the circuit. And that's what we're doing with the breathing, the movement, opening. That's what opening the channels is. It's the same it's just like see your body as these conduits and the circuit of electricity. And with your intention, with your breath, with the holding the locks in your body, like Mula Bandh, which is the root lock, you draw, you squeeze, the pelvis area, and the rectum, and the sex organs, and the navel. You are putting pressure to bring that energy up, opening the channels. Works very profoundly. It's like turning that switch on. So these are the kind of the mechanics of it. And it works hand in hand. Your physical, mental, emotional body. So learning these basic things, you could go deeper. There's different terminologies that have been used. Different modalities refer to these a little differently, your understanding. But that's how you expand your consciousness, by willingly opening yourself up, your body, as you stretch more, in the poses, you opening the tissues and the muscles for allowing the energy to move. Opening your heart center as you focus and concentrate on your heart center, each chakra points. And as you do that, you allow your thoughts to now kind of go into different dimensions. And as you open yourself up, you allow information to come towards you. You receive more too. You become more receptive. That's what surrendering is all about, being more receptive. Listening. You read any scripture, the idea of listening is important. Listening to your own body, listening to your own thoughts, listening to the frequency, the heartbeat of whole creation, all that stuff. I'm kind of bringing it all together. That is being receptive, being vulnerable. And through listening, through paying attention, through concentration, through movement, through everything, all we're doing physically, mentally, emotionally, you are tapping into a new level of consciousness. And things make more sense to you. Because I could talk about quantum physics, for example, right now, or someone could talk to me about quantum physics, and I really, over my head, I wouldn't learn much. But as I get into my own existence, my own body, and I study a little more, little by step, expanding my consciousness little by little, then the same words that was spoken to me maybe a month ago would have a different meaning. Why? Because I expanded my consciousness, right? That's why we go to first grade first. We learn alphabet, we do, adding and subtracting, and then we get into higher and more advanced equations, algebra, calculus, all that stuff. It makes more sense. It's the same level of understanding your own body, understanding your own, who are we? Who are we? What are we? We're more than just, typical stuff, routines that we do. We're more than this. At the same time, you are part of this. We're not to dismiss anything, when we pay attention to our own spirituality and growth, is not to disregard our physicality, right? Is to bring it all together and enjoy all of it. Keep that, that foundation, because we need the foundation of our physical existence in this time and space. Is a created time and space, but is still the reality of time and space. In a way that if you compare this existence in this time and space to the whole higher level of consciousness and reality of things, this would be an illusion. But this illusion is right now is a reality at the same time. So it's kind of a balance there. Allow yourself to move through the process and not to get stuck in it. That's one way of helping you to overcome whatever thoughts, whatever emotions, any pain, even physically, that you're stuck in your body, any dis-ease or discomfort. As you think of it, is not something set in stone. That's why it means by is an illusion. It's not. It doesn't have to be. Yes, that's it. My finger hurts and that's it. I cannot fix it anymore. I mean, that's it. It's just that's how it is now. No, that pain is a creation of whatever. I mean, it could. I don't care if you hit it or you hit a hammer with a hammer, or you hit it in the wall with a wall. You slam the door on it, whatever. But all that has happened, there has to be something, a processing mechanism, which is your brain, to let you know that the pain is there. Yes, physically it looks like it's purple and blue, and a bone probably shattered or whatever. But all that stuff is just part of the physical illusion of things, and we got to tap into a little deeper into understanding of why that would be. And how you apply yourself into the healing of this finger could vary depending on your level of consciousness. And that could apply to anything in life, anything you learn in life about whatever, relationships, finances, your own creation and manifestation, desires in life. And nothing is off limited. And everything that comes to your mind for your own desire is of higher desire.
Wow, what an awesome class. Ramtin really has a way of breaking down complicated things and just speaking from the heart. If you ever have an opportunity to take one of his classes, I really recommend that you do. It's really nice to work with all of the male yoga teachers that are teaching Kundalini Yoga, who are bringing this beautiful balance of a really constructive, healthy masculinity. It's healing to everybody. Okay, but that's a little bit of a tangent. So I just wanted to follow up and say that I really hope that this discussion encourages you to push past any of your mind's limits the next time you're taking a Kundalini yoga class. So if your arms are up and your shoulders are aching, or you've done, 34 frog poses and you've got 22 left, if it's your mind that is telling you you can't do something, then continue. At least push past for, 10 more, for 30 more seconds, and watch what happens. Those energy channels might open up, and the discomfort might come into like a rush of endorphins, and you might experience a raise of your consciousness or your energy. They're really great things if you can push past the fear that is stored in our body and in our minds. So the exception, of course, is if you have an injury, or if you feel like you're doing something and is going to create injury, then of course you need to take a break, back down, do a few less and work your way up. But if it's just your mind saying, I can't do this, or this is uncomfortable, or if your body is talking to you in a way that is not injurious, it just is experiencing discomfort of change, then I would continue to push past. And again, you don't have to push past, way past your limits. Even if you go 15, 30 seconds past where you think you should stop, you're really proving to yourself, to your subconscious mind, that your conscious mind has limits that your body doesn't, that you are actually capable of more than your mind tells you you are, because it is there. It's trying to protect you. But sometimes we need to get out of our bubble of protection, out of our comfort zone, in order to grow. So we'll now transition into the really cool pranayam practice that we have for today. All right. So today's practice is going to be a little bit different, but it's a really interesting concept or thing that Yogi Bhajan taught. And what he taught is that our breath is our connection to the infinite. And if you think about it, our breath connects our mind and body. It's something that happens subconsciously, but we can also control it consciously. So our breath is really connected. It's this thing that, we exhale, and then other people and trees can inhale it. Like, it really connects everything in the world, this air element. So Yogi Bhajan's quote is that you live by breath. You can get everything from your breath of life. Now, please speak to your breath, talk to it, pray with it. This is a life relationship, you and your breath. And so this is something we're going to practice today. It's really fun, actually. And so we're going to do a little breathing, but then we're going to commune with our own prana, with our own life force that exists in the breathing part of our body. So let's begin by rooting our sit bones down, rooting our feet onto the floor if they are there, sitting up nice and tall, expanding the spine, lifting the crown of the head up to the heavens. Shoulders are up, back and down. Face is relaxed. Eyes are closed if it's safe to do so. And let's begin with a few long, deep breaths. So we'll inhale, filling up the belly, feeling it expand. That inhale travels up to our ribs, and then our shoulders and clavicle. Exhaling, chest comes down, ribs contract, navel back to spine. 2 more like this. Inhaling, belly, ribs, and chest. Exhaling, chest, ribs, and belly. Inhale, belly, ribs, and chest. Exhaling, chest, ribs, and belly. Now take your next inhale. Inhale deeply. Suspend your breath and mentally say to yourself, "Oh, my breath, give me life, give me strength, give me peace. Delightfully enlighten me." And then let your breath go. Inhale deeply. Hold your breath again. Speak to your breath. "Oh, my breath, give me love. Give me the sight to feel all in me, within me, and around me. Give me the power not to hate, but to love and love alone." Exhale. Let it go. Inhale deeply. Suspend your breath. Mentally recite, "Oh, my love breath, my sweet breath. Oh, my breath of my life, my friend, my guardian, my sensitivity. Give me peace of mind, healthy, happy, and holy. Make me bountiful, beautiful, and bright. Bless me." And let the breath go. Take a couple more long, deep breaths, inhaling belly, ribs, and chest. Exhaling chest, ribs, and belly. Last one on your own time, inhaling deeply. Exhaling completely. And then let the breath relax, but sit in stillness for another moment and see if you hear anything or feel anything back from your breath, this divine energy that floats through you all the time. Can you build a relationship to it? Let it guide you. Let it heal you. And as we practice in all of these breathing practices, letting our breath tame our mind when it gets out of control. Go ahead and blink your eyes open. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us for our 25th episode of the Heart-Centered Revolution podcast. I cannot believe it has been 25 already. I know we take breaks sometimes just to strategize, and save our time, but I actually think we're going to hire somebody really soon to help us with the podcast. So hopefully they'll be more consistent going forward, but I've learned not to make promises that I can't keep. Anyhow, I'm really excited that you guys joined us for this episode, and I am especially excited to share with you that we are going to do our very first free live online workshop in the beginning of October, and we would so love to have you there. Our podcast listeners have been so incredibly supportive. We get emails and reviews. We've met you guys face to face. We get so much awesome feedback and support from you guys. It would be amazing to see you on the live workshop. But that's why I want you there. For you, this is a workshop about the number one thing we get asked to share about, and that is about the chakras and Kundalini Yoga. So in this workshop, we're going to we'll touch on the colors and the emotions and kind of the stuff you hear all the time. But the real purpose of this workshop is to get a really good idea of what it means when each chakra is either in balance or out of balance, because that's the information that's helpful. That's the information that will help you know what to address, what to do, kind of what's going on for you. It's nice to have a color or an emotion, but we want to really talk about how how you can do a self-assessment of your chakras. And then as part of the workshop, we're going to do 2 pretty quick Kundalini Yoga exercises that balance the chakras. We're trying to keep it down to an hour, so we can't go real in depth, but we want to give you the most important information, and then 1 or 2 Kundalini yoga practices that will provide you with a chakra shift right away. And that is not it. At the end of the workshop, we are going to share how you can continue to deepen your practice with the chakras and Kundalini yoga with us. We're going to share our very first course offering, like an official course offering. And we are offering something really, really special to those of you who show up to the workshops live. So the workshops are going to be on October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So you really have to sign up now. Make sure you get your spot. You can sign up by visiting heartcenteredrevolution.com/free chakra workshop. That website again is heartcenteredrevolution.com/free chakra workshop. And it should be in the comments. So about this episode. So if you're watching or listening to this episode on an iPhone, because that's what I use, for each episode, there's like a description underneath it. So that website will be in the description if you can't remember it. That is just heartcenteredrevolution.com/free chakra workshop. We would absolutely love to be able to interact with you live online. We get a lot of, like I said, we get a lot of great feedback through email and social media posts and stuff like that. But it would be really awesome to be able to interact with you a little bit more. It's not face to face, but you know what I mean. And we have another exciting announcement, just one more for this fall. So make sure that you also listen to the next podcast episode as soon as it's out, because it also has a time sensitive offer information in it. But we love you. Thank you so much for sticking with us and supporting us. May all love surround you. Satnam.